Story: The Blind Spot. The thing about the security cameras is that they give you a false sense of safety. I realized this too late. My 3-bedroom colonial in Westchester was a fortress. After buying the place, I'd installed cameras covering every approach: driveway, front door, back patio, side yard. The app sent notifications when someone entered the property. I even paid for the premium monitoring plan. My colleagues at the investment firm teased me about my paranoia, but I didn't care. In a neighborhood like mine, with the kind of money we had, you couldn't be too careful. That Friday, I came home early from work. Market Close had been rough, and I needed a scotch and silence. I pulled into the driveway at 3:17 p.m. The house was quiet, empty, exactly what I needed. My routine never varied. Keys on the hook by the door, briefcase in the office, shoes off, blinds adjusted to block the afternoon sun. Scotch poured. I settled into my leather armchair and closed my eyes, feeling the tension begin to ease from my shoulders. The notification chime from my phone startled me. Someone had triggered the driveway camera. Probably a delivery, but I checked anyway. The video showed an empty driveway. Glitch in the system. I made a mental note to call tech support on Monday and took another sip. The second chime came 5 minutes later. Back patio motion detected. Again, nothing on the feed. Annoying. I muted the notifications. When my glass was empty, I went to pour another. Walking towards the kitchen, I noticed something off about the blinds in the dining room. I distinctly remembered adjusting them, but now they were completely closed. Had I done that? The day had been stressful. Maybe I was just forgetting. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Something was wrong. The house was too quiet. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through all the camera feeds again. Nothing. Just the empty driveway, vacant porch, still backyard. That's when I realized what was bothering me. The grandfather clock in the hall wasn't ticking. It always ticked. A steady, reassuring rhythm I'd grown accustomed to. I moved through the living room toward the hallway and froze. The clock face was shattered. Glass fragments sparkled on the hardwood. The pendulum hung motionless. My breath caught in my throat. Someone was in my house. I backed toward the front door, phone in hand, ready to call 911. But as I turned to grab my keys, I saw him. A man dressed entirely in black, standing in the entryway. My entryway. He held my car keys in his gloved hand, jingling them softly. Looking for these?" His voice was casual, conversational. I turned to run toward the back door, but another figure blocked the hallway. This one was larger, wearing a dark hoodie. How had I missed them on the cameras? "Your security system is impressive," the first man said, stepping forward. "Took us weeks to find the blind spots. Did you know there's exactly 13 seconds between the motion sensor reset on the east side of the house? Just enough time if you know what you're doing." My mind raced. The phone. I still had my phone. I needed to call for help. As if reading my thoughts, the man smiled. "You'll notice your phone has no signal. A signal jammer. Another worthwhile investment, wouldn't you agree?" I looked down. No bars. No service. "What do you want? Money? I have a safe upstairs," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We know about the safe," the hooded figure spoke for the first time, "and the one behind the wine rack in the basement, and the cash taped under your nightstand drawer." My blood ran cold. They'd been watching, planning. For how long? "But we're not here for money," the first man continued. "We're here for you, Michael. Or should I say David Torres?" It had been 15 years since I'd heard that name. 15 years since I'd taken on a new identity and left Chicago behind. "I don't know what you're talking about," I managed, but my voice betrayed me. "Roberto Vasquez sends his regards," the man said, and I felt my knees go weak. "He's been looking for you for a very long time." Roberto, the syndicate, the money I'd stolen, the people I'd testified against. They'd found me. How? It was all I could ask. "Your son's college graduation announcement. The one you sent to your sister in Phoenix? You really should have cut all ties. He shrugged. One little thread is all it takes. The hooded man moved forward, pulling something from his pocket. A syringe. We're going to take a little drive, David, back to Chicago. Roberto wants to look you in the eyes when he collects his debt. I backed away, searching desperately for an escape. The kitchen. There were knives, a back door. Maybe I could. The blow came from behind. A third person I hadn't seen. Stars exploded across my vision as I crumpled to the floor. As consciousness faded, I watched through blurry eyes as they disabled my cameras one by one. My last thought before darkness took me. All those cameras, all that security. And I never saw them coming. The blind spots, always the blind spots. Story 2. The call. Hello? Who is this? I held my cell phone against my ear, straining to hear above the pounding rain. Lightning flashed outside, briefly illuminating my living room. The power had gone out 20 minutes ago, leaving me with only my phone's flashlight and a rapidly draining battery. Hello, I repeated, irritated now. Wrong numbers always annoyed me, but tonight I was particularly on edge. My wife Jenny was stuck at the airport, her flight delayed by the storm. I was alone in our remote lake house, 3 miles from the nearest neighbor. A voice finally came through, distorted and barely audible. Is this 47 Lakeside Drive? I hesitated. Yes, who's calling? I'm outside. Something in the way he said it made my skin crawl. What do you mean, you're outside? Outside where? Your house. I'm standing on your porch. I moved to the front window, pulling back the curtain slightly. The porch light wasn't working, no power, but a flash of lightning revealed my empty front porch. Rain hammered against the wooden planks. There's nobody on my porch, I said firmly. I had to step away. The rain was too heavy. I'm by the side of the house now. Could you let me in? My car broke down about a mile back. I squinted through the window, trying to see through the darkness. Another flash of lightning, nothing. I'm sorry, but I can't just let a stranger into my house. I can call a tow truck for you. The voice changed subtly. Are you alone in there, Tom? My blood ran cold. I hadn't told him my name. Who is this? How do you know my name? I know a lot about you, Tom. I know your wife Jenny is stuck at O'Hare. I know you hate storms. I know you keep a baseball bat under your bed but no gun. I know you're standing by the living room window right now, looking out at nothing. I backed away from the window, heart hammering in my chest. What do you want? To come inside. It's very wet out here. I'm calling the police. My hands trembled as I tried to end the call and dial 911. His laughter came through the speaker. No signal for data, Tom. The storm knocked out the cell tower. You can make calls, but the police station is 20 miles away. In this storm, they'd take at least 40 minutes to get here. By then... He left the sentence unfinished. I checked my phone. He was right. No data signal, just enough service for voice calls. I'm warning you, stay away from my house. I tried to sound authoritative, but fear made my voice crack. I'm not outside anymore, Tom. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? I've been inside for quite some time. A loud crash came from upstairs, like something heavy falling over. Just setting up, the voice continued calmly. I'll see you soon. The call ended. Panic seized me. I ran to the front door to check the locks. Secure. Back door too. Windows latched. How could someone be inside? It wasn't possible. He was lying, trying to scare me. But that crash. I grabbed a kitchen knife and moved toward the stairs, stopping at the bottom step. The darkness above seemed impenetrable, my phone flashlight creating more shadows than illumination. Hello? I called out, immediately regretting it. Why would I announce my position? Silence answered me, then a soft thud from the guest bedroom. My options were limited. Run outside into the storm, try to reach a neighbor, or confront whoever was upstairs. I decided to make a break for my car. Keys. Where were my keys? On the coffee table. I backed toward them, knife extended, eyes fixed on the dark staircase. My phone rang again, the sudden noise making me jump. The screen showed Jenny's cell. Relief flooded through me. "Jenny, thank God. Someone's in the house, I think. Some guy called." "Tom." Jenny's voice sounded strange, frightened. "Tom, there's a man here, at the airport. He has my phone. He says he's going to hurt me if you leave the house." My blood turned to ice. "What? Who is he? Where are you exactly?" "Terminal B, by the bathrooms," she whispered. "He says I have to keep you on the phone. He says his partner is already in the house with you. Please, Tom. He has a knife." A floorboard creaked above me. "Tell your husband what else I said, Jenny." A man's voice came through the line, distant but audible. "He says," Jenny's voice broke, "he says to go upstairs. His partner is waiting for you in our bedroom. If you don't go up there in the next 60 seconds, he'll cut me. Please, Tom, I'm so scared." "Don't hurt her," I shouted into the phone. "I'll do what you want, just don't hurt her." 50 seconds, the man's voice replied. I looked up the dark staircase, knife clutched in my sweating hand. What choice did I have? "I'm going," I told Jenny. "It's going to be okay. I love you." With the phone in one hand and knife in the other, I began climbing the stairs. Each step creaked under my weight, announcing my approach. At the top landing, I paused, listening. Nothing. "I'm upstairs," I said into the phone. "Tell him I'm upstairs." "Very good," the man's voice came through. "Now go into your bedroom." The door to our bedroom was closed. I hadn't left it that way. "Open the door, Tom," Jenny pleaded, terror in her voice. I reached for the handle, turned it slowly, and pushed the door open. The room was pitch black. A floorboard creaked under my slow, hesitant steps. 3 steps in, I extended my knife hand forward, slashing at the darkness. "I'm in," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "Perfect," the voice on the phone replied. No longer distant. Clear. As if the bedroom door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, slashing with the knife. It connected with nothing but air. In the darkness, I heard breathing. Not mine. "Hello, Tom." The voice came from behind me now, but also still through the phone pressed against my ear. "Who are you?" I demanded. "What do you want? Where's Jenny?" "Jenny's fine, for now. We needed her phone, that's all. The real fun is just beginning." A hand clamped over my mouth from behind, the grip inhumanly strong. I tried to swing the knife back, but another hand caught my wrist, twisting until my fingers opened involuntarily. The knife clattered to the floor. "We've been planning this for months," the voice whispered directly into my ear now. "Studying your patterns, your weaknesses. You never even noticed us watching." The hand over my mouth released, and I was shoved forward onto the bed. I scrambled to turn over to face my attacker, but something struck my temple. Pain exploded through my skull. As consciousness faded, I heard the voice one last time. "When you wake up, we'll explain why we chose you and what happens next." I never should have answered that call. Story 3. The package arrived on a Tuesday. I wasn't expecting anything, but there it was on my doorstep when I got home from work. A large cardboard box with no shipping label, no return address. Just my name written in black marker. Daniel. I should have been suspicious, but curiosity got the better of me. I brought it inside, set it on the kitchen counter, and cut through the tape with a knife. The box was surprisingly heavy for its size, maybe 30 pounds. Inside was another box. This one made of dark polished wood with brass hinges. It looked expensive, like an oversized jewelry box or humidor. No note, no explanation. Just the wooden box nestled in packaging material. I lifted it out carefully and examined it. No markings, no identifying features. Just a simple brass latch on the front. My fingers traced the seam where the lid met the base. When I flipped the latch and opened it, I found only a folded piece of paper inside. One line of text, typed, "By opening this box, you have invited us in." I frowned, turning the paper over. Nothing on the back. What kind of joke was this? I checked the wooden box again. Empty. Checked the cardboard shipping box. Also empty. Weird, but probably just someone's idea of a prank. I tossed the note on the counter and went about my evening routine. Shower, leftover pasta for dinner, beer while watching the game. By bedtime, I'd forgotten about the strange delivery. Until 3:27 a.m. when the smoke detector went off. I bolted upright, heart racing. Smoke detector, fire. I stumbled out of bed, grabbing a t-shirt. No smell of smoke, but the piercing beep continued. I walked down the hallway toward the noise. In the kitchen, the detector on the ceiling beeped rhythmically. I dragged a chair over, climbed up and removed the cover. The battery looked fine. I took it out and put it back in. The beeping stopped. False alarm. Must be a low battery. That's when I noticed the wooden box was gone from the counter. I froze, suddenly wide awake. The box had been right there when I went to bed. I lived alone. Nobody else had keys to my house. I stood perfectly still, listening. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. "Hello?" I called out, feeling ridiculous. No answer. I checked the front door. Locked, chain in place. Back door, same. Windows secure. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen block and systematically searched every room, every closet. Nothing out of place, no sign of the box. Had I moved it? Put it somewhere and forgotten? No, I was certain it had been on the counter. By the time I'd searched the entire house, it was after 4 a.m. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe the box had never existed at all. I decided to deal with it in the morning and went back to bed, knife on the nightstand beside me. Sleep wouldn't come. Every creak of the house settling made me tense. At 5:13 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Unmistakable, slow, deliberate. I grabbed the knife and sat up, eyes fixed on my bedroom door, which I'd left cracked open. The footsteps stopped just outside. "Who's there?" My voice sounded strangled. The door swung open slowly. Nothing. Nobody there. Just the dark hallway beyond. I got out of bed, knife extended. I know someone's in here. I've called the police. A lie, but worth a try. Nothing moved in the darkness. I reached for the light switch with my free hand and flipped it. Nothing happened. The power was out. My phone. I needed to call 911. I turned to grab it from the nightstand. The wooden box sat on my pillow. I stumbled back, nearly dropping the knife. It wasn't possible. I'd searched everywhere. The box couldn't just appear. A soft laugh came from somewhere in the house. I couldn't tell where. "Who's there?" I demanded again, trying to keep the tremor out of my voice. "You invited us in, Daniel." The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Get out of my house," I shouted, brandishing the knife. "It's our house now." Different voice this time, female, coming from the bathroom. I backed toward the bedroom door, planning to run. But as I reached the doorway, a figure stepped into view. Tall, wearing dark clothes, face obscured by shadow. I slashed with the knife. It passed through empty air as the figure stepped aside with impossible speed. "That's not very hospitable," a third voice said from behind me. I spun around. Another dark figure stood by my bed, holding the wooden box. "What do you want?" I asked, knife hand trembling. "To play." The figure by the bed opened the box. It was no longer empty. Something glinted inside, metal tools arranged neatly in rows. "We've prepared games especially for you." I made a break for it, charging through the doorway. I had to get out of the house. Front door was closest. I ran down the hall, expecting to feel hands grabbing me at any moment. I reached the front door, fumbled with the locks. Chain, deadbolt, doorknob. Finally, it opened. I burst outside into the pre-dawn darkness and stopped dead. This wasn't my front yard. It wasn't a yard at all. It was my living room. Somehow, impossibly, the front door had become a loop, leading back inside the house. "Spatial reconfiguration," said a voice beside me. One of the dark figures stood there holding the wooden box. "First game, Find the real exit. You have 1 hour. This isn't real, I whispered. I'm dreaming. The figure reached out and pinched my arm hard. Pain shot through me. Very real, Daniel. You opened our invitation. I ran again, this time toward the back door. Same result. It opened into the kitchen. Every window showed not the outside world, but another room in my house. I was trapped in an impossible loop. Why are you doing this? I screamed, panic overtaking me. Because you're perfect, the female voice replied from somewhere nearby. Alone, no family, neighbors who keep to themselves. No one will notice you're gone until it's far too late. I backed against a wall, knife held out defensively as the figures converged from different directions. 3 of them, featureless in the darkness. Second game, said the one holding the box. Survival. The box opened. A hand reached in and withdrew something long and sharp. Let's see how long you last. I never should have opened that box. Edenshatu 4. The replacement. I first noticed the footprints 3 days after Elaine left. My wife had gone to visit her sister in Portland after our latest fight. I need space, she'd said, slamming the door behind her. Typical Elaine, dramatic exits were her specialty. We'd been married 7 years, fighting for at least 5 of them. I figured she'd cool off and be back within a week, as always. On the 3rd night alone, I came home from work and kicked off my shoes at the door. That's when I saw it. A single muddy footprint on the hardwood floor that wasn't mine. Too small for my size 11 feet, too large for Elaine's size 7. I stared at it, puzzled. Had someone been in the house? Nothing seemed disturbed or missing. I checked the doors and windows, all locked. Must have been there from before, I reasoned. Maybe one of Elaine's friends had stopped by before she left. I cleaned it up and forgot about it. Until the next morning, when I found 2 more footprints in the upstairs hallway. Fresh ones, slightly damp, leading from the guest bedroom toward the stairs. My heart raced as I systematically searched the house, room by room. Nobody. Nothing out of place except those footprints. I checked the security system. No recorded entries or exits, no alarms triggered. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak and settle of the house jolted me awake. At 3 a.m., I finally drifted off, exhausted. The ringing phone woke me at 7:15. Elaine's sister, Caroline. Is Elaine with you? She asked, without preamble. What? No, she's with you. Silence stretched between us. Caroline? Isn't Elaine there? No. Greg? She never came here. I haven't heard from her in weeks. My blood ran cold. That's impossible. She left 3 days ago. She said she was going to stay with you. Well, she's not here. Caroline's voice sharpened. Where's my sister, Greg? I don't know. She left. I saw her leave. Panic edged into my voice. After tense conversation, we agreed to call the police. I reported Elaine missing, explained about our fight, her supposed trip. The officers were professional, but I could read their expressions. Husband and wife fight, wife disappears. I was automatically suspect. They searched the house, finding nothing suspicious. Took my statement. Said they'd check traffic cameras, her credit card usage, phone records. Standard procedure. After they left, I noticed something. The family photo on the mantel. Something was off about it. I picked it up, examined it closely. It showed Elaine and me at the lake last summer. Except the Elaine in the photo wasn't quite right. Her smile was different. Hair slightly longer than I remembered, and her eyes. They weren't the deep brown I knew, but a lighter hazel. I was losing my mind. Stress and lack of sleep were making me hallucinate. I put the photo down and rubbed my eyes. The footprints appeared again that night. A trail of them, from our bedroom to the bathroom and back. Impossible. I'd been awake sitting in the living room with all the lights on. I followed them to our bedroom, heart pounding. The closet door was ajar. Elaine's clothes were still there, but they'd been rearranged. I distinctly remembered her blue dress hanging on the left, but now it was on the right. Someone was in my house, moving things, playing games. I called the police again. They came, found nothing, looked at me with increasing suspicion. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of an intruder, just the increasingly desperate claims of a husband whose wife was missing. That night, I set up my phone to record the bedroom while I pretended to sleep on the couch. In the morning, I reviewed the footage with trembling hands. Nothing for the first 4 hours. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the closet door slowly opened. A figure emerged, woman-shaped, but wrong somehow. Movements too fluid, too smooth. It crossed to my side of the bed and stood there, looking down at the empty sheets. Then it turned toward the camera. Elaine's face, but not Elaine. The eyes were wrong, the smile too wide. It stared directly into the camera, head tilting at an impossible angle. Then it spoke, voice like Elaine's but hollow. "He's not here, he must be downstairs." It moved toward the bedroom door, out of frame. I heard footsteps on the stairs, in the recording and in real time directly above me. I dropped the phone, paralyzed with fear. It knew I was watching. It was coming for me now. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. A shape appeared in the doorway. Elaine's shape, wearing Elaine's favorite pajamas. "There you are, honey," it said in her voice. "Couldn't sleep? Come back to bed." "You're not Elaine," I whispered. It smiled, head tilting again at that unnatural angle. "Don't be silly. Of course I am. Where is she? What did you do with my wife?" It stepped closer. "I am your wife. Better than before, improved." I backed away until I hit the wall. "What are you?" "I'm Elaine. Your Elaine had flaws, argued too much. Didn't appreciate you. I've been watching you both. Waiting. Now she's gone. And I'm here." It reached out, fingers cold as they brushed my cheek. "I'll be much better for you. You'll see." "Where's my real wife?" I demanded. Its smile widened, stretching beyond what a human face should allow. "You don't need her anymore. You have me now." I ran. Out the front door, barefoot in my pajamas. Ran until I reached the police station, breathless and wild-eyed. They didn't believe me, of course. Took me into an interview room, asked more questions. Hours later, they drove me home. Concern and suspicion mingling in their expressions. The house was empty when we arrived. No sign of the thing pretending to be Elaine. The officers searched again, found nothing. Suggested I see someone, get some sleep. Left me alone, promising to continue investigating Elaine's disappearance. That night, I barricaded myself in the guest room. No sleep, just waiting. The text came at midnight. "Coming home tomorrow, we need to talk." E from Elaine's number. My hands shook as I replied. "Where have you been?" "Needed time to think. Staying at the Comfort Inn downtown. See you tomorrow." Relief flooded through me. It was really her. She hadn't gone to her sister's after all. Just a hotel to cool off. The footprints, the strange figure, all hallucinations from stress and guilt. The next morning, I cleaned the house, bought flowers, prepared to apologize. At 11:43 a.m., I heard a key in the lock. The front door opened. Elaine walked in, suitcase in hand. "Hey," she said, tentative. "Thank God." I rushed to her, hugged her tightly. "I thought something happened to you." She stiffened, then relaxed into the embrace. "I just needed space. I'm sorry I didn't tell you where I really was." I pulled back to look at her. My Elaine. Brown eyes, familiar smile. Everything in its right place. I was so worried, I confessed. I think I was losing my mind, seeing things. "What things?" she asked, setting down her suitcase. I hesitated. How could I explain without sounding crazy? Nothing. Doesn't matter now. I picked up her bag. "Let me get this for you." As I turned toward the stairs, something caught my eye. A family photo on the wall, different from the one I remembered. In this one, Elaine's eyes were hazel. I looked back at my wife, standing by the door. She smiled at me, but there was something wrong about the curve of her lips, something familiar in the worst possible way. "What's wrong, honey?" she asked, head tilting slightly. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I dropped the suitcase, backing away. "You're not—" "Not what?" She stepped toward me, smile widening beyond what should be possible. "Not happy to be home? I told you I'd be better this time. No more fighting." "Where is she?" I whispered. "Where's the real Elaine?" "I am the real Elaine now," it said, voice shifting to that hollow tone from the recording. "The only one you'll ever know." I ran for the door, but somehow it was already there, blocking my exit. "We're going to be so happy together," it said, reaching for me with Elaine's hands. "Till death do us part." Story. 5. The open window. The noise woke me at exactly 2:47 a.m., according to the glowing numbers on my bedside clock. A soft scraping sound like metal against metal coming from downstairs. Living alone in a 2-story house has its advantages. Privacy, space, no roommates eating your food. But at moments like this, isolation becomes a liability. The nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile down the rural road, too far to hear me if I called for help. I lay perfectly still, ears straining. There it was again. Unmistakable this time. Someone was trying to unlock my back door. My hand instinctively reached for my phone on the nightstand. No service. The storm that had rolled in earlier had knocked out the cell towers. It happened regularly in this part of Vermont. Landline? Disconnected months ago because who uses landlines anymore? The scraping stopped, replaced by something worse. The quiet creak of the door opening. Whoever it was had succeeded. I slid out of bed as silently as possible, grabbing the aluminum baseball bat I kept nearby. My father had laughed when I bought it. "What are you going to do, hit home runs with burglars?" But right now, it was my only weapon. The floorboards groaned as someone moved through my kitchen. Not even trying to be quiet anymore, confident, like they belonged here. I crept to my bedroom door, calculating my options. The stairs were at the end of the hallway. The bathroom window opened onto the porch roof. A potential escape route, albeit a dangerous one in the rain. My hand touched the doorknob just as the first stair creaked. They were coming up. I backed away from the door, gripping the bat tighter. Hide under the bed? In the closet? Both terrible options if they searched the room. The bathroom window was my only chance. I moved quickly across the hall, closing the bathroom door behind me as softly as possible. In the darkness, I fumbled for the window latch, finally getting it open. Rain immediately blew in, soaking my t-shirt and boxers. I peered out. The shingled roof sloped at a treacherous angle, slick with rain. Below, about 15 feet down, was my stone patio. A fall would mean broken bones at best, but staying meant confronting whoever was now slowly ascending my stairs. The third stair always creaked loudly. I counted in my head, 1 step, 2 steps, waiting for that distinctive sound to gauge their progress. Nothing. They knew to skip it, they knew my house. That realization chilled me more than the rain now streaming through the open window. I swung one leg over the windowsill, preparing to climb out, when I heard something that froze me in place. A second set of footsteps downstairs. There were 2 of them. The bathroom suddenly felt like a trap. If I went onto the roof now, the noise would give me away immediately. If I stayed, I'd be cornered when they checked the rooms. I made my decision, climbing back into the bathroom and moving to press my ear against the door. The footsteps had reached the top of the stairs. Heavy, deliberate, moving down the hall toward the bedroom. My bedroom door creaked open. "Not here," a voice said softly. Male, unfamiliar. "Check the bathroom," replied another voice. Also male, deeper. I gripped the bat, positioning myself behind the door. When it opened, I'd swing with everything I had. The doorknob turned slowly. The hinges protested as the door began to move inward. I raised the bat, muscles tensed. The door swung wide, but no one entered. Come "Come out, wherever you are," called the deeper voice, from somewhere down the hall. They were playing with me. Rain continued to blow in through the open window, forming a puddle on the tile floor. If they looked down, they'd see it, they'd know. "I can hear you breathing," said the first voice, closer now. "We can do this all night." I needed to act. Lashing out with the bat, I swung it through the doorway, connecting with nothing but air. Then I charged, screaming at the top of my lungs, hoping to startle them, to find an opening to the stairs. A dark figure sidestepped my wild swing with surprising agility. I felt a hand clamp onto my arm, twisting until I dropped the bat. It clattered to the floor as I was shoved against the wall, breath knocked from my lungs. "There you are," said the deeper voice, directly in my ear. "We've been looking all over for you, Michael." I froze. That wasn't my name. "I'm not Michael," I gasped. "My name is David Renner. You have the wrong house." The pressure against my back eased slightly. "Show me ID," the man demanded. "Wallet's in the bedroom. Dresser." The second intruder disappeared into my room while the first kept me pinned. Moments later, he returned. "David Renner," he confirmed, holding up my driver's license. 1487 Maple Road. He sounded confused. "I told you," I said, relief washing over me. "Wrong house." "Fuck," muttered the man holding me. "What number did you write down?" 1478, the other replied. Transposed the digits. "You absolute idiot." The first man released me, shoving me aside. "We're in the wrong goddamn house." I slumped against the wall, trembling with adrenaline and relief. They weren't here for me. Some mistake. "Look," I said. "Take whatever you want and go. I won't call the cops." The two men looked at each other, then back at me. For the first time, I could see them clearly. Both wearing dark clothes, gloves, ski masks pushed up above their mouths. One tall and lean, the other shorter but muscular. "Problem is," said the taller one, "you've seen our faces. Well, part of them anyway." "I haven't," I insisted quickly. "It's dark. I couldn't make out any features. I wouldn't recognize you on the street tomorrow." "He's seen too much," the shorter one said flatly. "We can't risk it." My heart sank. I'd gone from momentary relief to the realization that my situation had only gotten worse. They weren't leaving witnesses. "The guy next door," I said desperately. "Michael. What'd he do to you? Maybe I can help." They exchanged glances again. The taller one shrugged. "Nothing personal. Job's a job." "Someone hired you?" I pressed. "For what? Maybe I can offer more." "Shut up," the shorter one growled, pulling something from his waistband. The metallic glint was unmistakable even in the dim light. A gun. My survival instinct kicked in. The open window was 3 feet away, the roof beyond it my only chance. I tensed, ready to lunge for it. The taller man noticed. "Don't," he warned. "Roof's slick. You'll break your neck. And if you don't, my friend here won't miss from that distance." "Please," my voice cracked. "I have money, safe downstairs, 10,000 cash." 10,000? The shorter man scoffed. "We're getting paid 50 to deal with Michael." "Wait," the taller man said, a calculating look in his eyes. "Maybe we can salvage this. 2 houses, 1 night, double the pay. You know the rules. We stick to the contract." "Rules?" I echoed. "What rules? Who sent you?" "Listen to me carefully." The taller man ignored my question, leaning in close. "We're going to take your cash. Then we're going next door to finish our actual job. If you call the cops, make any noise, or leave this house before morning, we'll come back and finish you too. Understand?" I nodded frantically. "Safe's in the office, under the desk." "Stay here," the shorter man ordered, keeping the gun trained on me while his partner went downstairs. The minutes stretched endlessly as I stood against the wall, the barrel of the gun unwavering. Outside, lightning flashed, briefly illuminating the bathroom. The rain had intensified, drumming against the roof. "What's taking so long?" the shorter man muttered, more to himself than me. That's when I heard it, a third voice downstairs. Muffled, but definitely there. Someone else was in my house. The man with the gun heard it too, his head turned slightly, attention diverted for just a second. It was my only chance. I lunged sideways, grabbing for his wrist. The gun discharged, the sound deafening in the small bathroom. Pain exploded through my shoulder, but adrenaline kept me moving. We struggled, falling backwards toward the open window. Rain and wind hit us as we crashed against the sill. For a moment we teetered on the edge, the man trying to regain his balance while keeping hold of the gun. Then gravity took over. We fell, tumbling onto the slick roof. The gun skittered away, sliding down the shingles and disappearing over the edge. My shoulder burned with white-hot pain as we slid toward the edge, nothing to grab onto. The man caught the gutter at the last second, stopping his descent. I wasn't so lucky. My fingers scraped desperately against the wet shingles, finding no purchase. I went over the edge. The fall seemed to happen in slow motion. I twisted, trying to position myself to minimize the impact. The stone patio rushed up to meet me. The landing knocked the breath from my lungs. Pain shot through my left leg, broken, almost certainly. But I was alive, and the gun had fallen somewhere nearby. Through the rain, I could make out the man on the roof, slowly working his way toward the drain pipe to climb down. I had maybe 30 seconds before he reached me. I dragged myself across the wet stone, searching frantically for the gun. My hand closed around a cold metal just as footsteps approached from the side of the house. "Police! Don't move!" Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. The man on the roof froze, then scrambled back up toward the bathroom window. 2 officers appeared, guns drawn. One rushed to my side while the other spoke into his radio, calling for backup and an ambulance. "Sir, are you all right? Can you tell me what happened?" Through the haze of pain, I managed to explain about the intruders, the wrong address, Michael next door. "Michael Sullivan," the officer confirmed. "We got an anonymous tip about a planned hit at his address tonight. Units are there now." As the adrenaline faded and shock set in, one question burned through the fog in my mind. "Who called it in?" I whispered. The officer leaned closer. "What's that?" "The anonymous tip. Who warned you?" He shook his head. "Don't know. Caller wouldn't identify themselves. Just said 2 men were planning to kill Michael Sullivan tonight. Gave the exact address." I closed my eyes, the rain washing over my face. Someone had known. Someone had sent those men to the wrong house. My house. This wasn't a mistake. It was a setup. The third voice I'd heard downstairs. The real orchestrator. As they loaded me into the ambulance, I caught a glimpse of my bedroom window. For just a moment, I thought I saw a figure watching from behind the glass. Then lightning flashed and it was gone. I never found out who Michael Sullivan was or why someone wanted him dead. The 2 men were caught trying to escape through the woods behind our houses. They never revealed who hired them. I sold the house as soon as I recovered. Couldn't stand to be there anymore, wondering if the person who set it all in motion might return to finish what they started. Sometimes I still wake at 2:47 a.m., hearing phantoms scraping at my door. And I always check that my windows are locked. Because the most terrifying thought isn't that strangers might break in. It's that someone might have invited them,